Carlos Prates just put the welterweight division on notice with a brutal performance over Jack Della Maddalena. This wasn't competitive, it was a one-sided beating. Carlos tore up JDM's leg, punished the body, and piled on damage from start to finish in a completely dominant showing. Right after the fight, the Brazilian didn't hesitate. He called his shot at the top, targeting welterweight champion Islam Makhachev. The call-out immediately got attention, and Islam even reacted on Twitter, giving a sarcastic response. Good job, Nutella Cake. But there's an interesting layer here. Even in a fight where Prates dominated overall, JDM was still able to take him down multiple times. And when you bring Islam into that equation, that's where the questions start. Everyone knows what Makhachev does in grappling exchanges, and that stylistic matchup would be a completely different challenge for Carlos. Still, you can't ignore what Prates just did. That's now 3 knockout wins over top welterweights, and he's built real momentum. The MMA community is blown away by how dominant he looked, and whether people agree with the call out or not, he's put himself in a position where calling for big fights is more than justified. Welterweight top 5 just got even more interesting, with multiple elite fighters at the top all calling for the champion's name. Who do you think deserves the shot most? Leave your comments below. As expected, the UFC 328 buildup is getting chaotic, and fight week isn't even fully underway yet. Sean Strickland is already pointing fingers, saying if any press conferences get cancelled, it won't be because of him. He's putting that entirely on Khamzat Chimaev, questioning whether the champ can keep it together and not lose control when they come face to face. The irony is obvious though, Sean was the one who threw out the first threats, so now flipping it and acting like Khamzat is the unstable one hasn't exactly landed well with everyone. As for the actual matchup, Strickland looks extremely locked in. He's been consistently posting footage of himself focusing on wrestling, clearly preparing for Khamzat's biggest weapon. That's the key narrative going into this fight, whether Sean can deal with the grappling pressure and keep it standing where he's most comfortable. With both guys talking and the stylistic clash being so clear, UFC 328 is shaping up exactly how you'd expect, messy and unpredictable. Luke Thomas believes the UFC doesn't really need this kind of bad blood anymore. Him and his co-host went into a detailed breakdown explaining why the promotion may have outgrown these kinds of volatile buildups.
We have been around for many, many eras of MMA, you and I. There was such a push to MMA to clean up its act, both on the regulatory side, but more so on the presentation side. It was designed to cast a wide net, and it worked. And now we're at a place where, like, you know, we got guys literally baiting their opponents by anti-Muslim stereotypes of like the highest order. It's not that trash talk has never been ugly, but having seen the different eras of MMA, do you feel like this is historically unusual, or are we putting a level of hysteria into it that doesn't need to be there?
No, I think it's definitely gotten worse, for sure. And one of those things where the pendulum, as you said, swung a bit, where it was, hey, we want to be mainstream enough to get the mainstream recognition, right? The wide net, get a bunch of fans. Now it's almost the other way, where it's, hey, we're already there. You're not leaving if you're a fan. And if you're not a fan by this point, we're not really that concerned about you.
Flyweight champion Joshua Van didn't hold back in a recent podcast appearance, taking direct aim at Manel Kape. Van called him corny and cringe for the way he talks, but at the same time admitted he might be the toughest matchup in the division right now, which is exactly why he wants that fight. The champ brought up the history between them. He said Kape publicly called him out, the UFC offered the fight, and Van accepted on short notice without hesitation. But Kape turned the fight down, something Joshua believes doesn't reflect champion mentality. Even though Van versus Tatsuro Taira is now official, marking Joshua's first title defense, he made it clear that stylistically, he views Manel as the real danger. He pointed to his one-punch knockout power, explosive style, and overall threat level as reasons why he wants to settle things with him. Taira earned his shot by finishing Brandon Moreno, so the matchup makes sense competitively. Former champion Alexandre Pantoja has been back in training for weeks and is targeting a UFC return this summer, planning to face whoever holds the belt at that time. Alright, let's see what Van had to say.
Who do you think's the most cringe when it comes to talking crap before a fight?
Manel.
Oh shit! Manel's actually a nice guy. I had him on the podcast. He loves food, fine dining.
Yeah, he's fat ass.
Oh my god!
That's why his weight.
He really wants the Manel fight.
Yeah. Outside of Pantoja, you think Manel is the biggest challenge for you?
For sure, man. All joke aside, like, he is, I think, one of the toughest in our division as of right now. So that's the reason why I want to fight him next. You know what I mean? And the thing is, he been talking too much shit.
Yep. What's he say about you?
I don't, like, he called me out, but then they offered him a fight, and then he said no. And then
he called you out, then they offered, then he said no.
Yeah. And I wasn't even training. They called me. They was like, "Hey, you want to fight?" I was like, "Do I want to fight?" Yes, of course, I want to fight. Right.
So you and Manel were supposed to happen at UFC 324.
Yes. So I was at the airport in Cali, trying to go back to Houston, and I said yes. As soon as I got back to Houston, I was like, I gotta get in shape.
Michael Morales just sat down with Spanish ESPN journalist Papa Legaspi and confirmed some massive news. According to Michael himself, a title fight between Islam Makhachev and himself is currently in the works, and he even mentioned potential dates being discussed behind the scenes. Morales also addressed the recent topology controversy, where his record was briefly changed after older fights were reclassified as professional. He revealed that after internal discussions involving his manager, the show's production team, and topology, the issue was resolved, and his record has now been reverted back to undefeated status. The Ecuadorian explained how the situation unfolded, why he felt the change was unfair, and how everything was eventually cleared up. Until Morales spoke publicly, the welterweight title fight was only rumored to be targeted for the White House card. Now, Michael has revealed June or July as the target date, which strongly suggests the UFC is lining up Islam Makhachev against Morales for that event. What further supports this is Islam himself recently saying the UFC offered him Morales back in January, an offer he had to turn down at the time. There were a lot of interesting details in this interview, so we translated the full breakdown for you. Let's dive in.
I was surprised when my record was modified because they tried to count a fight that was never official. It happened inside a TV show in Ecuador back in 2017 called The Last Fight. It was clearly explained to us that these were exhibition fights. They were not going to count on our professional records. It was just a recorded television show. The rounds were shorter, the format was similar to The Ultimate Fighter, and you advanced in phases. I lost one of those fights, but it was never meant to be professional. I have never denied that loss. I have always said I lost a fight when I was 17 years old. I say it in every interview. But it was not a professional fight with 3 5-minute rounds. It was not under Sherdog or Topology standards. And it should never count on my record. Topology did not investigate the event properly. My manager contacted them, and even the producers confirmed the event was not official. I fought at different weights in the same show, which alone proves it was not professional. After reviewing everything, my record went back to normal at 19-0. Now we move forward. We are waiting for fight number 20, and it's going to be big. We are already in talks about a title fight. It is actively being worked on. The timing depends on the health of the opponent, possibly June or July, but everything is moving forward and I am ready to go.
That's it from MMA Psycho. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for daily MMA news.